9 years ago today, I was doing my last shot of heroin before I left for rehab. And now I'm here, again, ready to take on this mountain and finish what I started 4 years ago. I try my best to live a life where if I died today, there's nothing I wish I'd done differently and nothing I wish I'd been able to do. October 2018, I have this goal. I'm gonna climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and the medical team pulls the plug. We come down. In that moment, I was kind of wrecked, you know? It was really painful because a lot of time and effort and money went into this climb. And so it was like this major loss. But we're part of a group, so they come down and they're celebrating. Ben, my dude from Australia, he hands me this rock that he brought down from the summit. And when he gives it to me, he says, "Bring it back." So I decided 2 years later, I would come back and I would summit. And so I bring this rock home and I set it on my desk. I'd see it, I'd think about it. I grab the rock off the desk and I pack it in my bag. They come, they pick us up, they take us back, and it's like deja vu because it's the same drive I've done once before. We go to the same gate, we're hiking the same mountain and the same route on the same dates, just 4 years in the future from when I did it last. The first day, I remember thinking like, wow, this is way better than the last time. Day 2 is a steep day. I remember it was like at the end of day 2 that my hands started to swell last time, and I started having like the first effects of the altitude. Day 3 is this long ass climb up to Lava Tower. That's a day for acclimation. It's this really long hike up, and that's your first day with like significant elevation. You climb high and then you come down, camp at Bronco Camp. This is my favorite day of the climb. The camp itself is set at the base of this massive wall that leads up into like the summit. This is the last day you can see anything green before everything just becomes brown dirt. And the wall itself, you're climbing. Like, it's not like you're hiking. You're like grabbing onto rocks, like pulling yourself up. If you fall, like, you're gonna die. From Barranco, you come up the wall, down into Karanga Valley, and then you come up to the camp. And I remember for the first climb in 2018, coming up out of the valley sucked. Like, I remember it felt like it was straight up. I was so tired. And this time, well, this was way better than the first time. They do 2 medical checks a day. In the morning, they do a medical check. They get your blood oxygen, your heart rate. They ask you all these questions. And they do the same thing at night. They're like, how was the day? On a scale from 1 to 10. And every day for me was a 10 because every day I compared to the last time. You're also right above the town, Moshi. So it's all lit up at night and you can see the stars like nowhere else. I mean, you can see like the Milky Way super clear. Day 5, you leave Karanga Camp. I remember it being like super brutal the first time. It's like steep for a couple hours and then it flattens out, gets to this wall that you climb up, and that is the wall up to base camp. And I remember day 5 being the day in 2018 where I questioned for the first time whether or not I was going to be able to make it to the summit. And this is the final camp before you summit. It's a day to rest and try to eat and stuff like that. The problem is altitude messes with you. You lose your appetite. It's hard to sleep. It's so cold. And so you're in like winter jacket with a winter hat on, with your gloves on, in your sleeping bag, in your tent, and it's still cold. Within 12 hours, you're gonna be making your push for the summit. And then they wake you up at 11 p.m. and by midnight, you're heading up for the top. When you leave camp and the just sheer size of the mountain, you know, I'm sitting here at the same exact spot, at the same camp, and I'm looking up and, you know, I was just thinking 4 years ago today, I was at this same base camp, very sick, about to attempt the summit of this mountain and come fairly close to death. And 9 years ago today, I was doing my last shot of heroin before I left for rehab. And now I'm here, again, ready to take on this mountain and finish what I started 4 years ago. And this is when the climb really begins for me. This is the day I'm waiting for, right? I'd already done everything leading up to this point once before. This is where I failed. This is where my body like turned on me, and all these days leading up to it, everything that happens after, this like window from like midnight until I either make it or don't make it to the top that's the real reason I'm there. That final night of the summit, there were two things I knew I needed. I needed the rock and I needed my poster board packed into my pack. We head into the tent and it's like, you know, they got some popcorn, some hot tea, and my headlamp's so dim and I'm like, what's going on? The batteries were dead. So my guide gives me the batteries out of his headlamp and goes lampless. I couldn't believe I forgot the stuff, but at the same time, I was super grateful for him. So we start going up and I'm remembering, right? Because it's just your headlamp. It's all you can see is like this circle of light and pretty much the person's feet in front of you. It's pitch black and it's freezing cold. There's sections where you'll die, like if you misstep. We're winding our way up. We get up this crazy gnarly wall. There's this long, gradual, like fairly steep section that leads up to the switchbacks. There's points through the night where we're coming up and it's like these specific rock formations and there's these specific sections. And I'm trying to think like, where are we in comparison to where I was last time, you know? And I'm waiting for that moment where we get to the point where I'm confident that that's where we have to turn back. I remember looking forward and being like, this is it. Because I remember in 2018 when they stopped us, they're checking Morgan, they see me, I'm blue, they're tripping, we need to get you down. You could see the headlamps back and forth, up. I'm tired, I'm cold, but like, I'm much better shape than I was last time. So now I've crossed that barrier of where I had to turn back. And things get progressively worse from there. It's so cold and it just becomes progressively more cold throughout the night because you're climbing higher and the wind is coming through and like your fingers hurt in your gloves and the wind's on your face, and the altitude makes you so tired, like not a normal tired, not like a physical exhaustion type of tired and not like a I'm sleepy. It's like someone drugged me kind of tired. Like you can't keep your eyes open. And they kept saying like, don't sleep, because Morgan would be trying to take these breaks while she's kind of sitting down. I'm leaning, like I dig my poles in and I'm leaning onto my poles, just like they're like pressed into my chest, and I'm just like out of it, dude. Like, and I didn't expect that because I didn't experience that the last time. Like we didn't make it that far. They're telling us like, when the sun comes up, everything's gonna be better, you know? And the guides were so beyond incredible. you know, they're stopping, they got hot ginger tea to try to keep us warm, and they're like force feeding us these candy bars for energy because we don't want to eat, we're out of it, we just want to like close our eyes and go to sleep. And you're so wrecked that when the sun, like, it starts like this thin red line across the horizon. I mean, a sunrise like I'll never probably see again. And I remember it came up, it cracked over, and I remember looking back because the whole mountain is red from the sun coming up. Like, it looks like you're on Mars. It was like I got hit with a hammer of emotion. Like, it was all defenses that I may have had that would generally keep me from breaking down were gone. Like, there was nothing left. I didn't have the energy to fight it. Like, I never cried, but you know, like when you're about to cry and your face does that like thing? Like, that was happening quite a bit, okay? So I feel this like whoosh of emotions, and the ground is like sand, basically. Like, every step you take is like a half step back.
Almost there, baby.
And it's just using so much energy, and you're moving so slow. And you can see Stella Point. Stella Point is the crater. You're at the rim of the crater, and then you have to go around the rim up to Uhuru Peak, which is the summit. And so Stella Point is like this major achievement because the steep is done, the sun's up now, like you're so close. And so we make it up there, and we're both in really bad shape. Like, we're moving really slow. We're really, really tired. And
yeah, don't cry, baby.
You know,
don't cry.
Morgan breaks down.
You did enough.
And I'm just trying to keep her focused and awake. And I'm fighting at this point to just stay focused on the next step. And people are coming down that already summited, and they're past you, and they're like, you're almost there, you're almost there. And then you can see the sign, and you can see the group of people up there. This 4-year like journey of making it back to this mountain is like coming to a head, and this 6-month journey of me like destroying myself training for this Ironman to be in the physical shape that I felt like I'd need to be in order to make this happen it's all coming to a conclusion. And you get up there and you look around, and it's just like, I did it.
Yeah, 9 years, clean my boy.
They're like freaking out. The guides are like losing it, and I remember Derek running up and giving me a hug. The mountain was a part of it, right? But the reason I was there was to celebrate 9 years clean. And that is so powerful. And it was so crazy to me that I had made it, you know? When you first show up to recovery, you're just trying to get like a day, you know? If you can string 30 days together, that's probably the longest you'd been clean in years. And to be standing up there with 9 years clean after failing this climb for my 5-year, like, it was that much more powerful for me. It was that much more impactful because it wasn't just the summit, and it wasn't just the 9-year clean anniversary, but it was like a redemption situation. Like, I vindicated myself after 4 years of carrying this like moment in time where I set out to do something and didn't accomplish it. And I'm like, this is it. This rock has made its journey back. And I reach in, I pull it out of my bag, and it was like this crazy symbolic moment where for this rock to make its journey from the roof of Africa to Akron, Ohio, then back to the roof of Africa. I'm happy that this unfinished business that I've had, this thing that has almost like haunted me for years, is now finished. Like, I did what I said I would do. I came back, I finished the climb. Everyone's carrying a rock. Everyone has that thing or things that they've left unfinished. And the thing about releasing a rock is that you normally don't do it alone. You know, I had my wife with me. I had guides with me. There were porters. I had someone like Ben who knows that I'm stubborn. And if he gives me a rock and says, bring it back, I'm gonna bring it back, right? It takes a village. Like, you need to be able to rely on the right people and have the right people support you, the right people in your life there, in order to release these types of things and feel that freedom and move on with your life. And for me, it's no different than recovery, right? Like, in order to get 9 years clean, it took a lot of people. I had a lot of support, and I wouldn't be here without them, you know? So if anything, I think what people need to ask themselves is like, who's on my team? Are they the right people? What is my rock? And how do I plan to let it go? The whole time we're climbing, I'm talking with these guys and I'm learning about how things are done there and the money that we pay, like, where's it go, who gets what. So me going over there, I'm assuming this money that I'm spending, like, is going to them, but it's not. Like, they're making pennies in comparison to the cost of the trip. It's a rough country, you know? They said that most people there are living on less than $1 a day in Tanzania. These people that are helping me with this life-changing moment, they're going way above and beyond. It didn't sit right with me. And so I wanted to do something about it. I decided to partner with my guides and start ROA expeditions, Roof of Africa expeditions, and bring them in to where they now own something, right? And help them change their lives as business owners instead of, you know, contractors who are hired to take some people up the mountain. I believe in the product, right? These same people have taken me up this mountain twice. I wouldn't go up with anyone else, right? Like, they're that good. And why not support great people who are trying to build something epic for their own lives? They have the work ethic, right? They have what it takes to succeed. They're already doing it. They're just doing it for someone else. And so why not, you know, position them to be doing it for themselves? And this will not only impact them. I mean, it's gonna impact generations, their parents, their kids, the community.